not going to the same barber right now, I can tell.
We are not going to the same barber simultaneously.
Yeah, you guys are visiting this. You're not visiting the same place to get your haircut.
So, good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Toronto Real Estate Show.
The only one to watch.
The only one you should watch. And if you are watching, please subscribe now.
Absolutely. Like,
Yes.
comment, share it.
Share it, comment. We have our good friend Vitalii Tichkevitch with us today. Good morning.
Good morning, all.
How are you?
Great. How are you?
Good.
Thanks for having me on the show.
Thanks for being our first guest of all time.
Absolutely.
Woohoo.
Uh-oh. We have a problem, folks.
Yeah, that's the new show.
What the hell just happened there?
It's whoever would like to be on the show, basically. We're going to be bringing in random people.
Random people who want to be on the show that have...
Vitalii, have you watched any of the clips that we had? Yeah?
Yeah.
So you can kind of see like we have basically no idea what we're talking about, but we try to read the news and play it off like we actually created that information ourselves. And at the end of the day, we make it sound half smart and see where it goes.
Right.
I think TK makes it sound half smart. I'm closer to a quarter.
There you go. We're about 3/4 when we combine. So we're hoping you're the missing quarter today, Vitalii.
Maybe you're the missing quarter.
I'm not a mathematician or anything. I mean, I'm not adding fractions or whatever, but I'm just saying if that were the case, you know, you would make us whole.
Yikes. So
Yikes.
I think the format of our show today, in case anybody's wondering, is it's not interview style. We're just having a discussion. Vitalii's in on the discussion. I don't think we have questions specifically for Vitalii.
I have a question. I brought a question with me.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Great.
Vitalii, what do you see going on in the real estate market right now? What's your experience on your end, in whether it be construction or investing or anything else?
Put me right on the spot, right?
Let me hear it.
Should we give a little background as to who Vitalii is?
Sure.
And where this background vantage point is coming from?
Sure. Yeah, so I guess I'm in the construction industry. I have a business in doors and windows, and I own a couple of real estate properties in the High Park area. I purchased my third building 2 years ago, I guess, and then I started investing in 2017. I have my first investment is a 7-plex, again in the High Park area. I have another one on Ronsonsville that's two apartments and a commercial property below. And then I have a property over at Parkside that I am currently renovating into, well, there's going to be 2 units currently, and then I'm going to add 2 more units potentially in the future. So I hope the rental market doesn't go anywhere. It keeps on rising. That is that's my hope. I don't see very much. I don't see properties coming down in the residential market. I don't pay attention to it as much as I possibly should. Maybe not. It's not my primary business. Like I said, I sell windows and doors. That's my primary business, and that's going really well right now as people are staying home and
tired of looking at those old windows.
Absolutely, and you know, I feel that a lot of people are spending their money that they were going to spend on vacation or whatnot. They're spending it on their home. They understand that they're probably not going to be traveling for a little while, so they're just focusing on staying at home and making it the place of their own, and looking to make it more comfortable for them, or just doing those things. So I feel like everybody that I've been communicating with that's in some type of renovation or some trades, they're staying quite busy, even though the market, I don't know where the market is. I mean, it seems like just from my own experience, we have just one unit currently that's been up for rent. It's a 2-bedroom basement apartment, and we're having a tough time renting that. All the other apartments, they've turned over very quickly, and my only thinking on that is the kind of people that are living in the basement apartments are out of work right now, or they're getting that CRB payment, and they can't afford more of a luxury style basement.
Did you have any other units for rent during COVID?
I did, yeah. So we had 2 or 3 with the basement. We had 3 units turnover. So 2 of them were rented right away. We didn't have any slowdown. Like we put them up on the market, and we had tons of leads, and we rented them right away.
You knew those units were going to be coming up for releasing before COVID. Like they'd given their notice.
No.
No?
One of them was, and the
Yeah.
other one was 2 months notice. So we just rented it for July 1st. So it was
During COVID, they said, "Hey, I can't.
correct.
I'm moving out. Here I go." And then you put wheels in motion.
So it was just an opportunity that the person got somewhere else. So he's actually moving out of province.
And did you do the same type of background checks you would normally have done, or did you just take whoever would come right now?
No, we did the
COVID-19
same
test.
background checks. No, same background checks. We have a property management company that takes care of that. So we don't do any of the work ourselves technically, but they did run all of their qualifications.
So
give them the swab. That's it.
So where is the unit?
I'm sorry?
Where is this unit that's for rent?
Currently, like the one that the basement apartment?
Yeah.
It's on Marion Street, so Roncesvalles and Marion.
And
right by the hospital, which is...
How big is it?
It's about 750 square feet.
And how much are you asking for?
So we had it rented for $2,250. Then we came down to $2,150, $2,000 now. I think it's on for, and we were trying to negotiate $1,900, and we're not getting it.
Mm.
Wow.
So that's what we're seeing. We're seeing that the rents are coming down, just supply and demand. If I have the choice between going to a 1-bedroom condo that's $650 and a 750 square foot basement apartment, I'm going to go to the condo. I'm going to have
100%.
private parking, underground parking, locker, amenities, all that kind of stuff. So I think that the basement apartments were getting pushed up only because of skyrocketing 1-bedroom rent prices, which right now could potentially be the average 1-bedroom rent price for a condo could be under $2,000 now in the core. So that seems pretty in line with what we're seeing, right?
Right. Yeah.
What about going into people's houses, windows and doors? Are you finding that people are nervous about having you in their home?
I'd say 80% are not.
Okay.
And 20% are.
So you're seeing people who are just kind of like, why are you even asking me to put a mask on? Or why are you wearing a mask? Just come on, do the job and go. Like they're not even anything, right?
Well, yeah, our the sales guys have masks and they have gloves, but and then our installers also same thing. And from what I see, the people that are calling us understand that we're coming into their home, and they're not scared of people coming in. And I mean, we do tend to protect ourselves, and we only touch certain things. It's not, we're not walking around the whole home, but it seems to be that the people are not very scared.
But this is an above average sit time for what you're doing right now, right? Like what last May and June, were you getting as many calls for windows and doors?
Right now, more,
right?
Yeah. More than
that's what I'm
year,
hearing. Yeah, that's what I'm hearing. So more people, and then 80% of them are still not that concerned. Overall, there's really not that many people who are making major changes. Because if we're looking at this from like the economy standpoint, there's 20% of people who are indoors, locked up. They're not spending their money. Maybe they have it, maybe they don't. They're afraid of everything. I saw a lady walking down the street with a mask and snowboard goggles today down the road on her own, right? Along Shepherd. She was completely by herself, but that's what she felt comfortable doing. But 80% of the people, that's the numbers that I'm seeing, are just ready to go back to normal. They're not thinking about what they're touching and washing their hands 17 times a day. There's a lot of stuff that's changing, and obviously look at this 4,100 reservation requests in less than 5 hours at Cabana for their new restaurant design. That shows, right? Like people are like, let me go out and party and hang out.
I need to get out.
Yeah, yeah, and that's good for the economy.
20%.
Right? I look, me, I'm one of the 1%. Like, I don't go anywhere. I think everybody else is crazy.
But you're ordering stuff online.
Yeah, but then it sits in the garage for 3 days and cures before we bring it in the house.
Still ordering it. You're spending the money. That's the main thing.
Oh, listen, we are definitely, there's no shortage of money being spent here, but we're not, this house, we're not bursting on the seams to get out, but then you see scenes, which I probably should have had that for the show, but you see scenes of like the beach, down at the beach is just full of people, like in Florida this week. And it's like, what the hell is everybody thinking out there? It's crazy. I went to the gas station right now because my car needed gas. My daughter's going to go take a crazy trip over to my mother's place. And so she needed gas. So I went and I have my gloves and I got my mask, and the car in front of me, they're like, I don't know, they had floaties and they had a cooler, and they were like, there's like a car full of people. Nobody's wearing masks, and I'm pretty sure like they were going to the beach or to somebody's pool or something.
Yeah. Yeah, the beach near my house is packed too. I've never seen it. 35 years I've been going to that beach. I run by a couple times a week. It's packed.
Crazy.
In a way I've never seen it before.
It's crazy. And then we got stuff like this too. Look, this is awesome. I think this is very inventive and ingenuitive. Same guy, same owner. We actually spoke about him last week, Charles Caboose. So now he's got this gigantic parking lot down on Cherry Street. So he's opening up his rooftop that's got 4,100 reservations in a few hours, right? He obviously knows that there's this pent-up demand for people to go out and do stuff. He's paying rent and land taxes and God knows what all over the place. So he's opening up his parking lot as a downtown drive-in theater. 250 cars. Yeah, really smart.
Love it.
Some cool stuff happening in the city. So, I mean, what I noticed this week, I mean, it's funny because when I called TK like on Thursday or Wednesday and I said, I feel like nothing's happening in Toronto real estate this week. And then next thing I know, I'm going through the file this morning and there's a ton of stuff happening. It was a pretty cool week. Houses are selling for over asking in Toronto at an above normal pace. What is that? Are you seeing that out there?
Every house I sold in the month of June has been over asking so far.
Really?
Wow.
Yeah, there's lots of other houses obviously out there that are not, but like we've got a huge demand. Things are moving. I saw a huge number of sales on our at our office this month, so things are moving. And that's the metric.
Is it above like $1 million homes or
one was over 1.5, and the other one is like first time buyer under price range, and then the other ones that I'm seeing like in the core are like sometimes hundreds of thousands of dollars over asking. Like you're talking about big changes. One day on the market, that kind of stuff. So
Vitalii has an interesting story. Unfortunately for Vitalii, but maybe not. But Vitalii had a deal going into COVID that was a firm deal on the Parkside property that I was talking about, which is a beautiful property right across from High Park. Like literally, you walk across the street and you are at the entrance to High Park. You walk down the street the other way and you're at the Bloor and Parkside or Keele station. So it's like within walking distance to Subway. It's within walking distance to the park. It's a beautiful property, and he had it sold. He had it firm, and then it fell apart because of the COVID situation. Do you wanna talk about that a little bit, Vitalii?
Sure. Yes.
No.
Good times.
No, but it's good because you know what? People are looking for live, actual, information. You read these articles, you don't know what to believe, but this actually happened to you.
Yeah, so I think the property went firm on March 6th, March 8th, right around there. And then March 15th, obviously, we know everything, the world shut down. Throughout the process, the closing date was April 23rd. So throughout the process, they've asked, the buyers asked for an extension. They asked for quite a large extension, I believe, for 2 months. So instead of April 22nd to July 22nd, and that was around March 20th. So we said, look, you have all the time in the world to close. So why don't we just, see where you're going to be at in 2-3 weeks, and then we'll grant the extension or some kind of an extension. Because they said they weren't able to put the financing together that quickly because of this COVID situation, but they had like 5 weeks. So, anyways, we just said, we negotiated that we're going to take a look into their situation within about 3 weeks. 3 weeks came around. They said, you know what, everything's fine. We found somebody that's going to finance it. So we're going through, a couple of days prior to the sale, we signed off on all the documents. April 22nd, we're waiting for the release and, getting a check basically the next day. And then 9:30 p.m. on April 22nd, we get a letter from their lawyer that he's no longer representing the buyer. And the buyer's new lawyer sends us another letter saying that, they discovered something that's unique to the property, that's not feasible for their client. And they're looking for us to fix it before the closing, which is 6 p.m. the next day, and the city's closed. So basically pulling out of the transaction, which the next day we try to get a hold of them the whole day. No answer, no phones, no nothing. And then we close up the property.
And this is something that we found out that they knew for a while, right? Like this wasn't something they figured out like the day before and go, oh, by the way, we realized that your garage is encroaching on the neighbor's property yesterday, and now we don't know what to do, right? This was like you found
They're using
they had a couple of weeks. Yeah, a couple of weeks.
Yeah,
they
the
were
title
using
search
it.
date, they would have found that. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but crazy, and now, so now, I mean, where are we? We're end of June. So how far away is that? April, May. So 2.5 months later, and houses are selling for over asking again, and we've got detached housing market in Toronto is balanced in June, which is pretty crazy from being like 80%, or how far down were we from last year's numbers? Wasn't it like 87% down?
Sales numbers are still down. So what they're talking about balances, they're just talking about sales versus
sales to listings, right? Yeah.
So,
So that was always balanced, though.
Remember, though, our perspective of balanced in Toronto is not the same perspective of balanced in other major cities.
No, but it says
balanced
Toronto. Look, it says like Toronto.
Buyers, prices are selling, things are going up, and they're going up a little bit, but nothing like 2017, like April or March, right? So our interpretation of balance is a little bit different here. So balance is seller's market.
But we talked about it before. Like the whole time, the sales to listings ratio was kind of moving in tandem down and then started moving up again. It's always been balanced. But doesn't balance does not reference that there's enough buyers to satisfy the demand of the sellers as well?
Two metrics are sales to new listings ratio and months of inventory. So they want to know, they want to know exactly how many sales are happening versus how many new listings are coming out each month, and exactly how many properties are currently on the market, and at the current monthly sales rate, how many months would it take for those properties to all be sold.
Right.
And so being in that 2 to 3 months of inventory is always considered a balanced market. 40 to 60% sales to new listing ratio is always deemed to be fairly balanced. But again, it's in the seller's favor. Like, I mean, you can confidently say, if I put my house on the market at a reasonable price based on what area, sales have been, I will get my house sold.
Balanced in Toronto is a seller's market.
It feels like it, right?
Yeah.
It is, right? Like that's what it is.
So, but we're recovering. Like, it seems like a lot of the news is positive, right? We're coming back.
Absolutely,
it's not dire. GTA detached house sales in June exceed 2019 levels in some markets. GTA, not Canada.
Yep.
So what markets in the GTA are exceeding sales from last year in June?
First-time buyer price ranges. So Durham region has got a lot. Certain areas that are
Where's
going to
Durham
be
region?
more
Like Whitby? Whitby's Durham?
Pickering, Ajax, Whitby, Oshawa. So areas where everyone can still afford. Areas where people who have been saving their money and trying to get into the market haven't lost anything. Still have got IT jobs or whatever. They're working from home.
What
Their
about
plan was to buy.
Scarborough?
Scarborough's got some areas like that. Yep, Scarborough's not doing too bad in certain areas. Yep.
Good.
A loaded
Absolutely.
question, huh?
Good.
The main thing is just what areas, and then you have the premium luxury areas. So Forest Hill, Rosedale. We're gonna get to an article about.
Oh, look at that.
There you go. So you're talking about a lot of luxury buyers are out there right now shopping, and we've talked already about why. And so we're actually seeing a huge increase in number of sales in some of the luxury markets in Toronto, and I'm seeing that in the 905 as well too. King, other parts of York region, North Pickering areas where you're looking at $2-3 million in price ranges. We're seeing an uptick in sales there, which is great.
Pool
People
mandatory. Pool 100% mandatory.
not just the pool currently, because I'm seeing obviously a lot of people who are trying to get the pool right away, but I'm getting a lot of calls. I had 2 yesterday on a couple of different listings where people are saying, "Can I build a pool?
Yeah.
I want to be able to build a
Next
pool."
year, no problem. You can't
You're gonna
get the
have to book
labor.
2025. You have to book it 5 years in
Yeah.
advance to be able to get the pool, but you can get it.
Toronto doors, windows, and pools.
Yeah, you know what? I actually used to work with a landscaping company that I saw them last week, and all they're doing right now is pools. They're booked for the whole summer, just pools. They're
Yeah.
not doing any decks, no fences.
No, you can't
They
get anything.
are doing pools.
They're booked, these guys. These guys are booked.
And they are.
You can't even
they're-
buy. We were talking last week. You can't even buy an above ground pool at Walmart or on Amazon or anywhere right now.
Well, I'm also surprised the in-ground installers can even get all the products and materials that they need, right? Like, when is the shortfall going to happen? Like, I mean, they only build so many. They've got a certain amount of demand each year, right? The suppliers only have so much stuff. So eventually somebody's maybe going to figure out that they booked their pool for August and it's not going to be till next year now.
Yeah, so it's okay though. We'll keep your deposit till next season.
Yeah. Well, that's the business.
You'll be in line for next year. But hold on, I mean, this is pretty crazy. So the headline says Toronto's famous Integral house just sold for 18 million. Now, if you read, I mean, that sounds pretty cool. 18 million is a lot of money. I think originally they wanted like 24. And
That's normal.
And they bought it like a year and a half ago for 16.8 or something like that. So like, this is definitely not a score, that's for sure, from the seller's perspective. I don't think they did very well. It's not a very nice house, and I guess it's just because of who the architect was.
The fact that someone was willing to fork out $18 million during a pandemic, they did very well.
It's pretty cool, right?
Yeah. They got to take their money and move out. They got other streams of income.
So before we get to that, I mean, it seems like the Toronto market is on its way back, right?
Absolutely.
I feel like it. I mean, like I put a feeler out there for the property that I own that I'm trying to sell, and I got the best reaction I've ever seen in my career. Like, I have 50 different conversations going on for one property right now. It's crazy. And I'm telling you, if I was selling this thing 6 weeks ago, nobody would have responded at all. But that's that pent up demand. Like, developers are worse than anybody, right? They're deal junkies. These guys have been sitting at home without their needle, like no supply to their drug.
Yeah. That makes sense. They're talking about that in the new construction, pre-construction type of developments and stuff like that they're going to have a booming end of the year now, right? Because everyone's been postponing their projects.
Yeah. Hold on a sec. I got something here. So there's a few things going on here that I want to talk about. Sorry. Okay, so Greater Toronto new home sales dive to lowest level on record. So while home sales seem to be climbing and everything's looking good, although this guy from Better Dwellings, which I love, by the way. There's a plug. Oh, and subscribe below, please, if you're still actually watching this thing. Greater Toronto new home sales dive to lowest level on record. Better Dwellings. He's always negative. But, I mean, while everybody else is saying stuff like here we go, get ready, hang on, this thing's back, baby. We get stuff like Greater Toronto new home sales dive. We see stuff like office sublease market growing in Toronto and Vancouver. That's important. Pandemic takes a bite. Chuck E. Cheese. Bye bye, Chuck E. Cheese. Vitalii doesn't have kids, so he doesn't know the pain and the anguish that we deal with taking our kids to Chuck E. Cheese 8,000 times.
I didn't grow up in the country either.
Can you imagine going to Chuck E. Cheese now? I'd be like wiping everything down before my kids went to it, spraying everything, covering them in a Ziploc.
It's a pretty volatile business. You know what I mean? Like
zero chance of success ever again.
Yeah, that was obvious. So that's okay. I'm sorry, Chucky. Sorry to see you go.
Half of Canadian renters looking for more available units, so it looks like renters are ready to move around when they feel safe.
We can get you a deal on a 750 square foot basement apartment, 1,900. All right across from the hospital, 2,000.
That was last week's price.
That was last week's price. Okay,
that's before all this news came out.
So hold on a sec. So we've got a whole bunch of really good scenarios happening. It seems.
Yeah.
People want to get out. People are bursting at the seams. People have money. People want to move up. Some people have done very well during this pandemic, and they're ready to move up. And then there's the opposite. Everybody's dying out there. People are looking for cheaper rents because they can't even afford the rental that they're in anymore. Places are closing. New places are opening. Although, like, you have a nightclub that's opening that has, like, thousands of people capacity, right? So he's getting 4,100 reservation requests in 5 hours, but he can only fit, like, I don't know, 100 people. Is it 400 people in the place now? Used to be 1,000. And I'm pretty sure there's no spreadsheet on earth from when he was opening that place that had the number 400 people occupancy in it, right? And it definitely didn't equal a profit at the bottom. And then he's got this other gigantic club downtown, used to be government, called, Rebel, whatever the hell it's called. And now he's going to have 250 people watching movies in the parking lot, which he has to build the theater for this to happen. So he's going to have to spend more money to bring in 250 cars to, like, bring them food in a parking lot. So, like, just because all these people are opening and things are happening doesn't mean that things are going to be good for a bunch of people. I mean, it'll bring jobs for some people, so that's, I guess, good, right? So, but then there's a whole narrative going on about... so you sent me this land transfer tax relief plan moving to Toronto Council. So this is something that's, I guess, going to be put in place in order to help boost the real estate market, right?
This is just something that people have been lobbying for a while. I mean, when the land transfer tax was put in for the municipal land transfer tax, we were selling homes that were $400,000, right? So to be able to get into the market, they were putting the land transfer tax credit for first-time buyers on, the average type of home that first-time buyers would be buying. But now in Toronto, the average first-time buyer property would probably be $800,000. So shouldn't they be getting twice as much credit in order to be able to have some help to be able to get into the market? And that's the theory behind it. But the municipality right now is not governed the same way that provincial governments are. Municipalities can't just go on and take on debt and do all this kind of stuff. They have to run a balanced budget. So they have to get the money from the province or the federal government in order to be able to get out of this whole COVID-19 thing. So I don't think there's going to be any concessions on what type of income that they're collecting right now. They need every dollar they can make. So it's good news, but I see it's highly unlikely that it's going to go through. That's
it's targeted towards the first-time home buyer?
Yes. It's right now we have a first-time home buyer credit, and that's something that's been around for a while. So they're just trying to increase that amount of land transfer tax rebate. It's not really a rebate; it's more just a exemption. But
Okay, so but policy, I guess, in place to help spur on the market in some capacity, right?
Well, the city got $150 million more when they introduced the, average or whatever it is every year. So imagine saying to them now, like, we're going to take away some of that money that you've been relying on in order to spend during a time that you've already gone $1.5 billion or something like that over budget. And you're going to have to, or you've got $1.5 billion less money coming in, and you need help from other higher levels of government. So how are they going to say, well, by the way, we're going to do this? Like, it sounds nice for the people and it's great, and I'm behind it, and it makes sense. It's just poor timing, I think.
Right. Yeah. I mean, sounds good to lower taxes, but doesn't help pay the bills.
Doesn't sound likely.
So,
right? Like the windows and doors credits. I want to just quickly segue to Vitalii here. When the home energy credits, when the current conservative government took away a lot of the programs, did you see a big drop in sales, or how people approached you? Like, what was that? How did that work?
Yeah, are you talking about the, like, last year, the the $400 a window? Yeah, 2018
or 19. Yeah,
they do it every few years.
It was November. I mean, I got hit, but the guys that got hit really hard were the companies that were manufacturing the windows, and because they actually spend a lot of money on advertising, and all their programs and everything like that had to be adjusted with this $400 rebate and credit. So I mean, I saw a massive drop off. We were getting calls left and right, for sure, for this, but everybody had to redo their websites, and all of their advertising campaigns, and all of that had to go disappear, right? Where I wasn't as heavily invested in that. So, but yeah, definitely a massive drop off for sure on that. And it wasn't phased out. It was just cut off. It was like,
I can't imagine that incentivizes too many people that already weren't planning on doing it. I mean, you have to spend a lot of money to get that $400 still, right?
Yeah, it was a 400 or 500, but anyways, it was a max of up to 10 windows, so it was $5,000 of credits.
Yeah.
So it was
actually
that's worth doing. Yeah.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Because I mean, our average house probably, to change all the windows is maybe $12,000, and to get 5 of it back.
Yeah, that's huge.
Yeah, it's huge. Yeah, it was literally windows at 50% off.
So that's now not running right now? There's no program right now?
No, it was cut off. No. So there's like a $50 credit from Enercare or whatnot. But
I remember back when I was in construction a few years ago, they had like a ton of credits all at the same time for insulation and for your heating system and your air conditioner and for your backflow water valve. Like, people were doing all kinds of things and getting crazy amounts for rebates. It was like it was a pretty good scam. I as a general contractor got busier with all of that stuff. It was nuts.
Yeah, I think maybe that was introduced after the 2008, like that whole slide, right? So people started spending a little bit more money.
Right. Oh, so maybe you'll get lucky and you'll see that again.
But back to today's sort of, how we relate to what's going on today is the government right now is offering everybody all this stimulus, right? I mean, you're getting the CERB, you're getting, wage subsidies. You've got, you're working from home more, so there's less, you're not spending money on transit, parking, eating out, all that kind of stuff, right? Yeah, gas is a huge expense. So, like, that's where all the money right now is going into. It's going into people's houses because the government's allowing us to be able to live like this. So everyone's looking at their monthly budget and they're going, hey, I'm not doing too bad right now. Why not?
And on top of it, a lot of these people, they deferred their mortgage, so they're not paying their mortgage payment. They deferred their car payments, their credit card payments, so they've got all these bills that aren't going out that they're used to paying, and they got this money trickling in. Some people qualify for the $40,000 interest-free government loan, right? So some people are just taking advantage of that don't really need it.
Yep. So there's lots of stuff that the government's really
Money is
put into
flying. No, but money's
this
flying.
market.
People have more disposable income right now than there used to, a lot of people. So and those people are also fine with going to the beach and going out and moving this economy forward and risking, I guess, getting sick.
Having people come inside their house installing windows is no big deal.
No, because listen, it's super. I'm happy letting all you guys move this economy forward while I hide in my house, and make sure that I don't get the disease. Because somebody has to do this. The reality is that like this economy, like we have no idea the damage that's been done to this thing yet. Like we have no idea yet the fallout of this thing. We're just kind of coasting along and seeing what's happening day to day. It's not like it used to be like back in the old days where you had to wait a few weeks to hear what was going on over there, right? Like we know instantly what just sold. We know instantly who did what, and not only through social media, just because so many people know so many people and everybody talks that, like, I know in commercial real estate, the minute something sells, we all hear about it before it goes on the wire. And we know everything about the deal. Everybody talks. It's crazy. So anyways, I think we're way off track here, but maybe we're not.
Right on track.
We one of the things that will help stimulate the economy here, and it's not really stimulus, but it's the government's willingness to continue our current path with immigration and allowing people in, while people, if you look at the screen, like in the United States, one of the biggest importers of new people is like basically closing down the borders to all kinds of very skilled decent net worth people that want to come into, North America, right? Really the States, but they're saying, we got to get out of here is really the thing. And we want to go to a place where, we can thrive. And they want to go to the United States because that's the number one pick. But what's happening is they're saying, no, you can't come here. And Canada's like, please, like, just, we need you guys. Come here. We'll fast track your visa. If you have this, and this, come on in. If you're a student, please come here. And that's what really drives our economy. So we see stuff like that. Like there's an article here that says, the theory of immigrants and foreign investors driving Canada's property market is about to be tested. And I mean, we talked about it in the past. What percentage of the immigration that comes into Canada lands in Toronto?
42%.
42%, right? So the borders are going to open at some point, whenever that is, whenever we feel safe enough that these maniacs south of us have got control of their situation. Because if you look at the stats, ours is just like beautifully declining in cases and deaths every single day. And it looks like we may have done a good job here compared to some other people. But
our country's socially distanced.
Well,
right?
Listen,
the lowest density in the world, I think, as far as
population to kilometer. Yeah, I was looking at that stat yesterday, and it's crazy. But you know what? The States is not like way high up there. Like
no, look at South America and these places that are really
you have some Asian places that are packed that are about to explode with COVID. Like they just got this thing and they're just about to get rolling. You got these really dense populations that are about to just go fucking bonkers. But anyways, that's even more reason why people are going to want to hightail it out of where they live with money, or get their kids, or find some excuse to get humans along with their money out to places like Canada, because it's good, it's safe, it's open, we take care of our COVID well, like we take care of our people, we go into trillions of dollars of debt or whatever we just did. We put the people first before the economy, right? So if this is a theory, which I think we've talked about before, I mean, it's a gigantic driver of the Canadian economy. It's a gigantic driver of the housing industry. Yeah.
Let's come back to this article and let's talk on. We're going into the trenches right now with Vitalii and in his experience, right? So, how many of your tenants that you've ever dealt with are new Canadians, whether they be like just landed or they've been here for a year or two setting up, work and all that kind of stuff? Or do you deal primarily with people or let's say applicants, not tenants, applicants, people who have applied for your units?
Yeah, so I would say because we are in a little bit of a more of a luxury style market, I guess it would be more applicants that are established. We did have somebody come over from the States, owning a property there, and just they had a very good income. So
Okay.
we don't see many applicants because I mean, not too many people that are affording $2,500 to $3,000 a month rent, are new immigrants.
You're going to
would
spend
say.
that kind of money. And this actually
Yeah.
proves my point about what that article is about, is because in 2017, they said that 5% of our real estate is being bought by foreign investors. And they said that in order for us to be able to control the pricing on Toronto's real estate and throughout Canada, but mostly it was in Ontario because this is where the NBC, because that's where the foreign buyers tax was implemented. They said we need to charge them 15% tax to kind of curtail the investment so that the rest of Canadians will have a safe place to live and call home, because there's a lot of people in Vancouver who are complaining, and obviously Toronto, we complain too.
Plus the empty house tax.
Sure. So there's all these rules that were coming out. So they came out with the B20 stuff where they had all these other different qualifications. It would lead to a stress test. We had all this change. So yes, the market did tank in April 2017, and everyone was like, we got them. We got those foreign investors, right where we, need to have them, and therefore, Canadians can have, access to real estate and everything else too. But then, the dust sort of settled. The foreign buyers tax is there. We're seeing this increase in home prices over the last 3 years. And then January this year, we saw an explosion with the foreign buyers tax. So if those foreign buyers were at fault, well, then now who are we going to throw the axe at now? Like, you've got to be able to admit in Toronto is that these are Canadians who are applying for your units. These are Canadians who want to spend more money on real estate. There's an insatiable demand in the Toronto real estate market by people born in Canada, maybe Toronto area or other parts of Canada, in order to own real estate here. And it is an undervalued market, and those prices are going to continue to go up in the long term. I mean, that's just the way it is. I don't care how the borders are closed right now and the market's moving. We're not even letting people in. And there's people in certain demographics who aren't sending their kids here for school, who aren't even coming outside of their house. And there's lots of markets who have been affected because of those demographics not buying right now. So to me, I think it has nothing to do with foreign investment. And that 15% buyer's tax was nothing too important that ever changed much.
Even if there were more foreign buyers, that 15% wouldn't have done anything. It would have been a little bump in the road. It would have been absorbed by the market as a line item on an investment, like anything else, like changing the windows. And they would have moved on, and that would have just reset the prices of the market a little bit higher, like everything else. Like everything else they throw at it, it gets assimilated, like into the market, just gets completely absorbed, and then we move on. It's like it's just another part of the formula. I mean, how often? First of all, you're talking about people that are desperately trying to get out of their countries and get their money out, because a lot of them are in fear that their governments will freeze their funds or steal their money, right? So these people, to take a 15% hit to get it into an economy that they feel is safe, that's also basically, 30-something% less than the US dollar, which they're spending, right? They're spending US dollars here. They come here, it's 35% off, and it's fucking booming with 7 million people in the GTA and growing, cranes all over the place, and still bidding wars every day as the pandemic is not even finished, right? Like, we're talking about second wave, and we got bidding wars again.
Yeah.
It's an unbelievable, resilient craziness.
Bring your children and everything else. So,
but Vitalii, do you reject people? Like, have you rejected people?
What do you mean?
Like when you have applicants, yeah. Like,
of course, you can't say yes to everybody.
Well, you never know. I mean, I've seen the places that Vitalii owned before he fixed them up, and I'm pretty sure that those people said yes to everybody and let them stay for years. And I don't even know if they paid rent, some of them.
$300 to $400 units.
Right?
Yeah. So
Just
yeah, and those
crazy.
people, some of them try to stay also. So for the same expense
We
as
call
you're
that
renovating.
opportunity.
Yeah.
So based on all of these things, I mean, this seems to be the same story over and over again, right? Like, there's a lot of optimism in Toronto, and it looks like it's going to be good, and we're not sure what the hell's going on, but no matter what, it's going to be good at some point again.
To sum it up, I would say that
Right?
that is fair. It's just the big question is when. So what we're advising people right now is like, what are your needs? Because if you're thinking about moving and you're taking that money and you're going to a property that you already own, or you're leaving the GTA market, and we have this flood of new listings come on in the fall, and all of a sudden, just like I remember, the best story I ever have is somebody who talked to me in December 2016, said, I'm going to sell my property and that I'm going to fix up a few things. The market was hot, and I want to move on, but I want to open my pool. And every month I would say, you should sell your property because the property prices are going up and you're going to get more money. They'd already purchased a property out of town. And then as the spring market was unfolding and they were getting their pool ready, they got their pool ready May 1st, and they wanted to list their home because traditionally May was a fantastic month. April 21st is when the market crashed and all those B20 measures were announced. So the amount of money that was potentially lost from that retirement plan of leaving the GTA with that the sale of the principal residence and going out to a small town was about $150,000.
Wow.
And if I had to lose $150,000 on my retirement plan as a baby boomer, I'm sure that's going to be a huge hit. So when I talk to people, it's just you're looking at their situation. When is it a good time to sell? I mean, everyone's got a different story, and you need to look at it and say, well, what are the risks of waiting? Because right now it's good. Right now it's great. And so how much money could you potentially lose? And can you afford to do that? Can you recover? And can you wait long enough in order for the housing prices to come back up? Because we don't know if this is going to be next year, 2022. CMHC's got some predictions. Everyone's kind of got their take on it.
But like, what would you have had to have done in order to have lost during this? Like, you would have had to buy during this and sell during this to have lost. Like, you would have had to buy right before it started and sold in the middle of this pandemic in order to have lost.
Today, your house could be worth X, right? And let's say that's more than it's ever been. But if we start seeing an influx of listings in the fall when the mortgage deferrals are removed, right? And all of a sudden, all the bankruptcies that are actually happening behind closed doors, people just don't know they're happening yet because they're hanging on with creditors and everything else. And we have a wave of job losses, and the virus has a second wave, and we have a second lockdown. Like, we're not going to survive that, Darryl. That is the doom and gloom version of what we're dealing with right now. Is that the summer could just be a break, and we might have to have some go back to phase 2 or 1 or whatever phase that we're at in order to be able to keep this under control. So there are a lot of scenarios. I know, everyone's got their own take on the long-term sustainability of the real estate market, and I'm in favor of that. Toronto market's going up, but what if the borders don't ever open back up until next year? What if job losses continue to rise? What if the mortgage deferrals there's a dead end? If CERB, where you got 2 more sessions left or periods left, what if those are the last 2? Right? The government's only got so much to spend. So just depends. You can't be reckless with telling people that the market's always going to go up and just wait, and you're going to do better. You're going to be fine. You're going to be fine, because we have seen major changes. So we want to make sure people know that they're getting the right advice before they're deciding to sell or not.
Yeah, I mean, it really seems like it didn't really make a difference. I mean, even let's say doom and gloom scenario happens. Okay, so pre-pandemic, okay? Pre-pandemic, we have a shortage of houses, semis, towns, rentals, singles. Like, we have a shortage of everything. Everything we are reading about is housing crisis, rental crisis, shortage. Prices are going crazy through the roof. Okay, this is the day before. This is March 11th or 10th. This is all we're talking about. This thing is crazy. This thing is going. I'm going to make this much money. This thing is amazing. Then all of a sudden there's like a pause, right? So what happens? Things are still selling. The pace slows down, right? people that didn't need to sell go, you know what? I'm taking this thing off the market. I don't need to sell it. I didn't get what I wanted, so I'll stay in the thing, right? So what happened? We stayed balanced. So what happens in the next doom and gloom scenario? Do we all of a sudden have like our demand met in the market? In a market that's constantly 30 to 40,000 units short every single year to meet the demand of just immigration coming into the city? So what does that doom and gloom scenario actually do? How long does it take to absorb all those bankruptcies and people that are forced to sell and all the divorces that people are talking about from COVID? Like, how long does it take to absorb that glut of inventory before all of a sudden it goes from unbalanced to balanced to buyers or sellers market again? Like, how long do we dip in that buyer's market?
Let's talk to our first-hand experience here, our guest with us today. Vitalii, you said you bought a place in 2017.
Well, here, hold on a sec.
Yes.
And then on top of that, before Vitalii goes in, 498 housing construction projects delayed in the GTA. So now our supply is even more behind, right? And our demand...
Was a single family? A single family home?
I have no idea. Construction
like
projects, it's probably everything.
Build, so it'll be condos, townhouses, houses, everything.
Yeah.
Either way, it doesn't matter. It's a lot. And so that's not coming on the market, right? So okay, sorry. Go ahead, Vitalii.
What was the question?
2017, you bought a property.
Yes.
Right? What point in 2017?
September 2017.
September.
Closed September 2017. Yeah, so
Do you know when you purchased?
We purchased, I believe, July. So we had a 60-day closing.
Perfect. Do you remember the scenario that you were in when you were buying?
Yeah, absolutely. So the property was listed for 1.48. It was like a rooming house, basically. There was 16, 18 people living in there. Mm-hmm. Run by a lady in her 80s who was living there in one of the rooms with her husband. And I remember at that point the prices, again, it was right past that point where prices came down, and then all of a sudden everything was just multiple offers, and I think nobody wanted to touch that property. Mm-hmm. So we actually got it. We got it, I believe, for 1.4 on the dot. So we got it $80,000 under what it was listed at, with no other competitive bids on it. So,
what do you think that property would have sold for 3 months earlier, 4 months earlier? Was there anything comparable at the time that you knew about where you were kind of like, wow, something like that was going for $2 million a few months ago? Yeah.
Probably 1.6, 1.7. Like, I think that's what they were relying on. I think they were actually looking to get, they put it up for less than what they thought, just to kind of create multiple offers on it.
Multiple offers, and then it sold $80,000 under asking.
Yeah.
Wow, look at that.
But that's
I believe so.
That's not a loss. That's getting less money. What did she pay for it?
Oh, she's had it for.
But that's what I'm saying is, like, in order for you to have lost money in the pandemic, you had to buy it on the 10th and you had to sell it before today.
I agree. Those are the scenarios where people are physically losing money. But what I'm talking about is the potential to be getting as much money as possible today, right, is very high. And I can't guarantee that in 3 months from now, it is going to be that high still, right? So you have to always be just cautious about what you're selling, because everyone's scenario is different. That 80-year-old woman, that was her time to move. She wasn't going to be living there any longer. She had to, and if she had been 3 months earlier, it would have been hundreds of thousands of dollars in her pocket, right? For whatever, her family or whatever, right? So there's a lot of stuff that that's important to look at.
Into it. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, just to give you perspective also, my house, the one on Parkside, is still up for sale.
Is it still listed?
It's still listed.
Oh, no way. I didn't know that.
Yeah. Can we talk about the details?
Sure.
Okay. What was the firm offer price, the deal that fell through?
238.
Okay.
It's listed at 2.65 right now.
Right now.
Yeah.
Any
And
action?
very, very little. Pre-COVID, I think we had 140. So we did a 2-week kind of period where we wanted to get offers, and we had about 140 people come through the place and had 2 offers. At one was 1.9, one was 2.1 or something like that, and then we brought up the 2.1 to 2.38, and yeah, and then
The deal fell through.
the deal fell through, and we relisted at 2.65. Simply, if I'm getting that kind of, if I'm going to get that price for it, then I can exit. But I'd rather.
But
keep
now
the
you're
property
spending
at
more
this
money
point
on
in
it.
time.
So now if
Yeah,
you
I spent
sold
a
it for
couple
the same
$100,000.
amount, yeah, it doesn't.
Yeah.
So would you still sell it though if you could? Like
The price
it
would
has to be
right.
2.6 now, right?
I'd have to be probably over.
Oh no.
Yeah. I'm into it for over 2.5, right? 2.5, 2.55, something like that.
Yeah.
And
So
then spending money on it every day
yeah.
as
So
we're doing the renovation.
I mean, there's going to be all kinds of stories like that. You see the one on the screen. There's like this poor family who, they're just desperately trying to find the house, and then they find one, and then the mortgage is like, "Sorry, guys, I know you went firm on this house, but we're not there for you. Sorry."
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
It's crazy. But I mean,
The bank's got that ability, right? I mean, that's it.
well, look,
Once they give you the money and they close, the law protects you with residential mortgages. But prior to them signing over that money to you, they've got a lot of rights as the lender to make sure that everything is exactly the way they thought it was going to be.
and I shouldn't talk because I mean I've learned this the hard way, but I mean this is all just really very good reason why people that shouldn't be in real estate, who can't afford to be in real estate, they just shouldn't be in real estate, because it's like one thing goes wrong and all hell breaks loose, and it could just end you, right? It's not
Buying into the market.
no, like listen, I mean, even buying into the market just to own a home. I mean, some people just, their incomes are just not made to own a house, not in Toronto. Right?
Mm-hmm.
And some people have to accept that, and instead of just choking themselves to death and then not being able to even afford to furnish half the rooms in the place because they spent so much on their house and their monthly payments are so high, even with a 2% mortgage, right? Some people just shouldn't be owners, and that's fine. And then, look, we talked about it last week or the week before. It's like the Manhattanization. It's like the money investment will flood in. It's flooding in. People will buy this stuff so that people can rent and live here. It's not going to be an issue. Mm-hmm. And all of this stuff, that's why real estate's a long game. They say, right? Like people that are in real estate should be in it for the long haul. Flippers can make a lot of money, and they can also get massacred. But people that stay in it for the long haul, you're going to have these things. You're going to have these things. It's a bump in the road, and the market will assimilate. I mean, it's not like it's like a mining town, right? It's not like one day the mine is going to be completely dug up and there's no gold left and everybody's moving to the next town.
Yep.
Right? Like this thing's just going to keep chugging and chugging and chugging and chugging, which is just a beautiful thing. And so on that, and I think we've done this every week, and it's a good time to do it because we got a couple of minutes left. From a development perspective, there's so many big, massive, amazing things going on right now. Like so many units coming down the pipe, but we're talking over like probably the next 10 years. This property, this deal, I love it. One, because I worked on it very heavily. I had an extraordinarily large offer put in on it with a group that actually went bankrupt, an Asian group that went bankrupt. So I'm kind of happy they didn't, because the previous owner was a family member of mine. This deal is just so unbelievable, and just like once you get to a certain stage in real estate, the things you can do are unbelievable. So I mean, do you guys have time for a little story about this deal? Because it's unbelievable. Okay, and what's even better is that my cousin, he was one of the originators of this deal. So This is the old Celestica property at Don Mills and Eglinton, the northwest corner. It's a gigantic property. And so three developers, my cousin Lifetime Developments, Diamond Corp, and I forget the third company. I forget the third company's name, but the owner of the third company is actually on the board of Celestica's like board of governors or whatever. So this was I believe a very inside deal, but an amazing deal. So they bought the property for $115 million, like 3-4 years ago. Three different developers. They had a three-way split on the ownership, so they put in 15 million of it, okay, as a down payment, and they never closed the deal, and they sold it to Aspen Ridge for like $300+ million. So they bought it for 115, developed it to a point. Aspen Ridge is redeveloping it right now, but they got it developed and zoned to a point. Sold it for $300-something million to another guy
without closing.
Without even closing on the deal.
Yeah.
Isn't that crazy? So, but what this article is talking about, and we brought in an offer for more than they sold it for, but they're so smart, they could recognize that this Asian buying group was never going to be able to actually pay the amount of money that they were offering for this thing. So listen, I mean, they're smart. These guys have learned over years. Like, these guys turned down an extra $20+ million, right? I don't know if I have the experience necessary in order to do something like that. I mean, you need deep pockets in order to turn that down too. But regardless, so what this article is talking about is that, so the old IBM offices, which you can kind of see in this picture here. Hold on, let me see if I can zoom in. You see those, the base buildings are being considered and deemed heritage because some architect designed it like in the 50s or something like that, or 60s. And I mean, I've been there. It's nothing really that nice to look at, but regardless, they're proposing to build 3 towers, because this is going to be the end of the new Toronto line for the new subway stop, joining the CNE to basically right here. These 3 gigantic, like over 40 stories, 37 stories, 20-something story towers on top of the old IBM office. So, I mean, why this is interesting is, one, it's just cool that, you know, they can do something like that. And we see it downtown a lot, where these old historic buildings on Yonge Street are retained and a brand new building is built behind the thing, while they keep the facades of these old, crazy historic buildings, while these monolithic glass modern things come out of the butts of them. But, I mean, that's really cool on one hand, but, like, it's such a ridiculous expense that these developers need to incur that guess who pays for it, right? Like, on top of having a housing crisis and a housing shortage and crazy prices just that keep booming, how many millions of dollars does it cost to retain an old building and then build towers on top of it? And then what does that do to the consumer's pricing? Right? Or the rental price of a unit in there, because now the investor's paying a jacked up price because the builder's not just sucking that up in the bottom line. I don't think.
Well, I think the height of the building too, they'll take into consideration, right? So on their applications, because of the preservation, they're probably getting a lot of variances on the height, no? Especially in that area.
I don't know. It's hard to tell if they're getting Well, they're probably getting variances on the height because of where it's situated. I mean, it's going to be, what does the girl on the subway say? This is a terminal station. Like, this is going to be an end terminal to the new Toronto line or Ontario line, whatever the hell it's called. Right? So it's going to be a major deal. So, I mean, they tend to give more density for things like that anyways. So what's happening here is, like, the Ontario line's coming here, and the new LRT is coming to here. So this is going to be a crazy transportation hub right now. Like, this is where it's at right here at Don Mills and Eglinton, right across the street from the Science Center.
I don't agree with you entirely. I think market price is market price, and I don't think that the cost of the build always gets to determine exactly how much they're going to sell each unit for. It may be.
I think there was a day in Toronto where this pandemic would have caused a lot of the developers to sell stuff for cheaper, but these guys over the last 20, 30 years have developed such deep pockets and big resources and great partnerships with financial institutions that they've been able to say, we'll wait till we get our price.
Mm-hmm.
We'll give a little incentive to push, but we'll wait. And that's what happens is they have their bottom lines, they have their investors, most of them have the capacity to wait. And the one or two guys like me that shouldn't be in the market that are selling, that have to sell quickly, they have to get out, they screw up a little blip in the market, the prices come down, they sell, and then everybody says, you know what, like, we know what happened there. We're ignoring that one.
Mm-hmm.
We're ignoring those 3 Crestford deals right now.
Yeah.
Right? The market keeps chugging along, even though we know there's going to be 1,000 new units at Yonge and Bloor coming online soon.
Yep.
Resold.
Got a lot of Canadian assets though too, right? So you're looking at a pretty solid deal here.
It is such a solid, crazy, amazing deal. But just the scope of it, I mean, these 3 towers is nothing. There's all kinds of townhouses this is the furthest point west of the site. Then you got all kinds of towns and mid-rise buildings. So this is the site here. This is the entire site, this whole corner here. This, where the red dot is where those 3 towers that we're talking about are going to be.
Mm-hmm.
So all of this here is townhouses and stacked townhouses and mid-rise buildings and I don't even know, hockey rinks and retail. It's unbelievable.
I call this no man's land in Toronto right now because if I can avoid going through this area when I'm traveling, I do, right? Like no one wants to drive
driving.
through.
Yeah, driving is not cool there right now.
Right now, east of Yonge, it's just like even a little bit west of Yonge, right? Like you just want to avoid it like the plague, right?
Like
the Allen Road, the DVP in Eglinton, maybe even Warden. Just stay away. Don't even go near it. So hopefully, the transit side of the planners have done a really good job and that's going to be a great neighborhood to live in.
I'm hoping that GO station areas are going to be more in fashion as people realize they need to go into the office once a week. Mm-hmm. And they can commute by GO from wherever once a week. And my property that I own is in between 2 GO stations that I'm trying to sell. So that would be really cool if all of a sudden it was super in fashion to live near a GO.
I don't know why people I guess the subways are, they got more stops. They're in really, prominent, affluent neighborhoods. That's why they're popular and everything else. And, there's a little bit of prestige to them, I guess. But the GO train's so much better in every way.
I went to...
cheaper, no? The subway's cheaper, no?
Subway's cheaper too. Yeah, of course.
Yeah, well, and closer in proximity, but it's smoke and mirrors because you can probably get to some places closer by GO Transit. Like I can get to Union Station from my property in 20 minutes, and from my house it takes longer by TTC. Yeah. And my house is way closer.
Vitalii's Point's actually a really good one. What's the Metro Pass cost a month? I don't know, $100?
300 probably something a month.
I don't think it's that much.
No. 120 bucks or something.
Really?
Yeah. So a GO train.
I guess we could look that up, right?
Yeah. A GO train pass for like a GO train station that would be,
over 200 probably, right?
Well, yeah. I would say you're probably $200 a week in some GO train neighborhoods. Right? Like if you're far enough away, like you're out of the city in the 905.
155 for an adult.
What is it?
155, 156 for an adult, 130 for a kid. So that's monthly just for TTC. Does that get you on the GO? No.
So what's the GO?
I don't think I've ever been on a GO train.
The GO is per stop. The GO is per stop, right? So from I'm 5 stops away from Union, and so we're looking at about $60 a week, right? So you're going to be about $250 a month. But if you're further,
yeah, but if you're going once a week, you just pay the 1 time a week fare.
Yeah,
and you saved all that gas and all that time, and you get to work from home and be in your underwear.
Consideration why we're talking about people paying more for subways. Vitalii's Point is actually the right answer. It's people are looking at it. Like maybe I spend more on the house or I get a smaller house, but my monthly commute costs are going to be a lot lower.
I think it's more just the current programming, no? Like it's just better to, it's people don't even know Go really, and it's like further. People want to live near the action. That's like I don't know why.
City boy, Daryl.
Am I?
Don't know the Go. Come on.
I've never been on. Have you been on the Go?
Yeah, of course, because I'm a suburbs boy.
Vitalii, have you been on a Go train?
Of course I have.
Like to go long distance?
Long distance, like
or just short? Like where are you going?
To those Richmond Hill areas, like.
Oh, really? Way up there?
Way up there once.
There you go.
Crazy. Yeah, so anyway, so that's this week in Toronto. Thanks for joining us, Vitalii.
Awesome.
Thank you guys.
Great insights.
Great.
Appreciate your time. Nice to see you, Mr. TK.
Absolutely. You guys killed it today.
Thanks for being here, everybody.
All right,
All
gentlemen.
7 people who are going to watch this video.
Hey,
really
listen, we have 288 total views so far in 2 weeks.
Right.
With
a lot.
and I can't get an ad to run. Like I've been
Nope.
on the line with everybody I can talk to at Google, and all they do is open tickets.
on us again. We better.
They open tickets. I have an account manager with my Google ads, and I can't get one ad to run, and he keeps doing it for me.
Yeah. Doesn't make sense. We should do an ad though. We should have what kind of ad should we do? Facebook?
Well, I'm trying to run like a YouTube ad, like it's on. I don't know. They say YouTube is stronger than Facebook ads, and then I would have to make a Facebook page. But I can make a Facebook page and do. I know how to do Facebook ads already.
Yeah, do a Facebook ad.
That's what I was thinking. I'll slot that in. I was a little negligent on my editing duties this week because I hired somebody on freelancer.com to edit our videos for last week, and it was going so good. And then I asked him to make a change, and he went bananas.
Really?
Well, like through text bananas. My interpretation was that he went bananas. So
You thought bananas.
We ended up agreeing that we didn't want to do the project together anymore. So I'm a half a week behind.
Okay. I got to run. I got to go help an 80-year-old woman move some boxes around her house.
That sounds
And,
invigorating. Enjoy.
And we'll chat with you guys soon.
All right, bye guys.
All right, gentlemen. Take
Guys.
care. Bye.